Hello, hello. I am here with the Miss Ptry. This is Emily and Just Ask Em. Super excited to say this is another paid episode. I'm so grateful for guests like you who continue to invest in me and allow me to have the honor of advertising you.
Yes, thank you, because you did a great job already. Y'all, I look good, y'all. You look like some
I'm trying to make you look good.
I appreciate you. I look good. I said, oh, look at me.
Okay. Now, what's a little bit about Miss Ptry?
Man, I love to just talk about how I started. It literally started with my birthday shoot. And from there on, I was just doing my thing, enjoying life.
But you know what? Before that, because I hear we like to take it a step back, who is Ptry?
So, Ptry is a fitness instructor that's in the beginning started with poetry. So, I was a traveling poet through Western New York. I was definitely a coffee shop girl, going through all the coffee shops. I can name a million of them. We have a bunch of them in Buffalo.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yes, doing spoken word, mainly open mics, because I don't feel like I wanted to do slam where it was a competition, because I'm a writer. So for me to express myself through my work, I didn't want any guidelines. I wanted to be free. So free verse poetry is pretty much where my field is, and being able to do spoken word and just finding myself through wordplay, basically.
Okay, nice. So that does bring me to now my first question. So when did you discover you wanted to be a model?
In 2021, I was trying to find a photographer for my photo shoot. Had a whole big birthday bash planned. Girl, I was living my best life in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Now I feel old now.
You better go on that side, and I'll make you know.
But yes, it's and the rest is history, really.
Yeah, very nice. Oh, so between you and I, we know we work with Hicklin Photography.
Yes, we do.
Our loyalty is with him. Now, who was your first photographer?
It was Tom Hicklin. I was very blessed.
Oh, that's
very
amazing.
Blessed.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's funny about that is, I had disappeared off the face of the earth for like 2 to 3 years, I think, actually around that same time. And I was going to renew my pistol permit the one day, and I walked into the wrong building, and it actually ended up being Thomas's building. And that was about, I want to say, a year-ish ago. And I swear, I ran into him, and it was just this rejuvenation of just motivation that I needed. I got back into doing photography with him, and same thing, girl. I was just okay, I had this back in the game.
The best things that happen are what's happening on accidents, is it not? I'm telling you.
So now, what type of modeling would you say you participate in?
So in the beginning, it was more. I'm still a freelance model. Thank you. I'm still a freelance model, so I make that very clear. Okay. All right, creativity is, I'm directed by me. Thank you.
You're in the right room, girl. Yes.
So all of my photo shoots, for the most part, besides the ones that are directed by Thomas, I do creative director. It's me. All of it.
Good.
So freelance, of course. So all types of modeling, but now I'm specialized 4 years later. I know commercial, very, very versatile model. So pretty much whatever the designer needs.
Nice.
Commercial type of situation or editorial, it really doesn't really matter for me.
Which is great, because it's I feel like we do have those similarities of, because even you and I did a photo shoot together once, which was very, very fun. So anybody who wants to do a photo shoot with Ptry, be ready for a fun time. She gonna be your biggest hype woman.
I'm about to cut up.
Right.
for the record. Thank you.
Can't take us anywhere.
Okay, nowhere.
But you yourself are, you have that entrepreneur, spirit. You are a one-stop shop. And I'm sure a lot of photographers appreciate that you have that diversity of being able to do the sophisticated shoot, just like the one in, a bathing suit or a fun suit. That's easier for them because they have more variety within one person.
I try to put myself in the shoes and the lens of the audience. Me as a person that's an entertainer and also likes being entertained, I want to see the people that I'm following or that I'm motivated by or even look up to do other things.
And everything is inspiration.
Yes. So I try to make sure I'm if I expect that from people that are working in that same type of environment, I want to do the same. So that's kind of how I am.
Okay.
I like to see diversity, not the same thing over and over,
I know. You have to. And I think that's how you stay fresh. And I always say it's even if you do have your own business and you've been in business 5, 10, 15 years, regardless of the experience and the knowledge that you have in your industry, things are always changing and evolving. So you're literally still always learning something new.
You do have to adjust to the times.
Well, exactly. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with staying traditional or old school, depending on what it is.
Originality, definitely. You want to maintain originality, your personality, so many things come with it, but what they say on like artists, your sound. For a model, maintain the originality, your walk if it's runway, or particular type of poses that most of the audience look for. For me, that's Ptry.
And then creativity and diversity like around that, I feel like. You know. So obviously the title of this episode is Buffalo's own model and influencer. How do you use social media to kind of build off, to kind of become that influencer?
In the beginning, I did not look at myself as really an influencer until years later, and I realized a lot of my content, I use social media as pretty much a journal for myself. Yeah. To look back on what I've done, look on what I have to improve. So social media pretty much is my timeline looking at self.
It's like self-critique.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I mean, and like I said, like I feel like with what you just said as far as like kind of doing your content and you go back and learn. I think that's another thing I like too, where it's just like you see what you posted like a year ago or 2 years ago.
And it's so motivational. I'm like, dang, right? Them eyebrows was blocky, but baby, you tried. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, I did tell my photographer, I said, now why you let me walk around why you let me walk around looking like this?
But then also too, then it's like you kind of figure out what you do want to do, what you don't want to do. And then it's just like, what I find myself too, especially even with like the photos that Thomas does for me, is I surprise myself with the amount of times I can maximize the same photo, which I love, because I'm like, listen, don't give me too many options. I like the certain pictures, and you can crop, color, filter, do anything like that. And I love being able to do that, and because it's like multi-purpose.
You can see yourself in different ways.
Exactly.
That's the amazing thing about it. And with influencing, I did realize with being an influencer, it's more of who are you able to impact. For me, it's about the impact. It's not about, oh, well, she's doing 1,000,001 shows or she's on magazines. A lot of it is when I finally got a chance for the recent magazine I did, the one that they seen is Style Muse. Thank you, Style Muse, so much for that. In February, the most recent one is Fashion High. So they did a story on me. Okay. And the writer did such an amazing job, and looking at what they did, it really taught me a lot about my career, where if you're not making an impact, that's a true influencer. Right. So that's more of a label that society gives you. Are you a person making impact? So for me, with my content, when I started 4 years ago, I always wanted to make sure I started with no makeup on. So for me, I didn't learn how to do makeup till we gonna let that be. But when I finally did learn, it definitely was adding on to my confidence. It taught me that, you know what, I am beautiful regardless of what I have on, what I'm wearing.
What you don't have
People
on.
think exactly. So with that being said, a lot of influencing is building onto yourself and being able to get that audience that does relate, and you're making an impact through inspiration. So that's kind of where I was with it.
And that's great, because a few things, like I'm really big on that now too, because obviously you see the amount of things that I'm doing, but there is that fine line of not just doing things to do things. Exactly. Where it's just like what you're doing is like taking that step back. Does this make sense? How does it make sense? And like you said, who is it impacting? The only thing I will say is, as far as like, are you impacting your audience? And you're always going to have your audience. And I think not so much a challenge, but one of the things that I hyper focus on is staying authentic and true to myself. And whatever my vision is and whatever I want to post about it. Yes. I'm careful not to cater it too much around other people, because it's not their vision. It's yours. So so definitely like, and it's not to say you're not listening to your audience, but there is that fine line of that's how you stay true to yourself. Yes. That's how that authenticity.
And to piggyback on what you're saying is we all have layers to us. Exactly. So for me, people look at my content, they see the fitness, they see the beauty, they see the fashion, they see the motivation. I'm a motivational speaker as well. So I'm able to do public speaking. I've done that since I was in grade school, really. Nice. So from grade school, high school to college and on now as an entrepreneur, modeling, all these different things and traveling, I try to show all those layers of myself, because people have to understand, entertaining, they want to see more than just the one that can show that they can model. Right. What else do you offer? What else do you do, basically? So that is my way of showing an impact. Can I inspire you as well as show you a little eyebrows on the top? I did my eyebrows today. They look good, y'all. So I put myself on that.
And I was gonna say, I like your hair too.
Thank you so much.
But like, and I think that's so important too, like you said. And I think, I don't want to say people don't understand, but like you said, they see the version of the social media, the completed product, the results of it. And a person like myself and a person like you, when you do about, 5 to 8 different things, the amazement kind of comes in, your journey, where you started, where it's like you started one thing back in grade school, but fast forward, now you tacked on a bunch more. But in a way, they all tie together.
They do.
And I think that's the most amazing part of it. And it's also, I think that's what makes you unique and different, when people see that, because more often than not, people are following trends, following other styles.
I'm be honest, I don't do a good job of that. I really don't. I'm gonna be very honest. I think too, one thing I will definitely give flowers to Hickletography is we call ourselves trendsetters, because a lot of times we're doing things that look funny to other people, and years later we find it on a Pinterest somewhere. On a Pinterest, baby. We like, I thought y'all didn't like that idea.
Right.
Yeah, okay. No, all jokes aside, but being a trendsetter as well, sometimes you are going to have to step out of the box.
You have to. Well, what did I say? That I did a little, I do my daily motivations, and the other day I said I was like, I felt uncomfortable. But then they say if you're not uncomfortable, that means you're not growing.
Correct.
So it's kind of, and I've learned to have that like patience and kind of just riding that feeling out, in the sense of it's not necessarily negative, but something is changing. Something it might be progressing or increasing or decreasing, because it could be a bad habit or something that's decreasing in order to move you into that better purpose. So I think like a lot of the time, we both have that good energy. We always gotta be busy. So
and 50 million things.
But what I love, and I've had a few of those type of people on my podcast, what I love about it is the people who have learned how to channel it. Yes. I don't care how perfect you are, how great life is, we're human. We got anxiety, we got social anxiety, we got OCD, we got, you know what I mean? We got like, sometimes we get scrambled.
We are still people.
Well, in that part, and I think there's so many like high, expectations and all these standards, and we're so hard on ourselves. I did learn though,
it's the expectations we set on ourselves to follow the expectations of other people. That is the issue, because at the end of the day, if you have expectations of yourself, and you have to find that standard of where that's going to lie as well. And if you're not following your own expectations and standards, it doesn't really matter what other ones people have for you, because you're not even being true to yours.
Exactly.
So it's all about, we place anxieties on ourselves of what we want other people to think. You know what I mean?
And I had to learn that myself, because I said I was really trying to sit there like trying to control everything and trying to like be perfectionist. That's why I said like this podcast, this is my happy place, because I said I always do very limited editing. If we got a goofy moment or something funny happens, I'm leaving it in there.
It gotta be authentic, because I love to watch it.
Yeah, because I'm like, everything's so like perfect and like filter and this and that, and it's like, that's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, is it realistic?
My biggest thing that had taught me about that, especially in modeling, is when they see you in person, they like, oh, what the? So, y'all, please be careful. Do not be out here editing to mess out y'all stuff, and somebody see you in person. The one thing I really love, people see Ptry on the socials, they see me in person. It's not very much comparable.
Right.
I mean, the hair confused, y'all understand.
Right. No? but that's the fun part. You just have a different style every time, okay?
The one girl's like, that's you, Ptry? I'm like, I just changed my hair. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the only thing that might get y'all.
And I said, I do have this fear sometimes, where it's just like, how many people these days in the world we live in, and the way things are, especially with social media, like how many of these folks are looking in the mirror and seeing themselves, like who they really are, like minus the makeup, minus the hair, minus the lip fillers and everything else that's injected. Listen, and it's just like,
and it's all a beauty standard.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, listen, to each his own. You want to do a little Botox or for migraines, whatever, okay, cool.
Remember you said happy place, right? If your happy place is making sure things look perky, do that, baby.
Within limits.
Yeah, because girl, we gonna leave that alone.
Crazy out here. Like, yeah.
But in the same token, though, I still am firm in that if it makes a person happy to do a certain thing that they want to do, at the end of the day, I will encourage some thought.
Right.
But if you sit with yourself and you say, I'm happy with that thought, please proceed. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with that. Nobody else.
Oh, that part. Yeah.
So enjoy yourself.
And like I said, but you just hope these days. Like I hope people are happy. Like really looking at themselves. But
that's what that timeline. If you are an influencer on social media, and I feel like they do a great job reminding you 4 years ago. Okay.
Look like someone now.
Yeah, little duckling, baby. Okay. I'm like, dang, y'all trying to embarrass me.
Humble beginnings.
I'm not posting that again. No. All jokes aside, though, I do be dogging myself. I'm like, dang, y'all look like that. y'all ain't say nothing.
But you know, and that's the best thing, because I be making fun of myself sometimes.
I be like, girl,
well, you can make.
You left the house like that. Whew.
You seen that nice picture of that coral color shiny dress, girl. When I looked at myself in the mirror the next day, I said, honey, I had my little bata pajama dress and some compression socks. I said, that surely is different. But I said, it's all necessary.
It's definitely different versions of yourself.
Because after 30, if I'm going to keep wearing these heels, I'm going to need to take care of these legs.
I hope you're that strong ankle you talking about. Because my ankles is not that strong, okay? Even as a runway model, I'm like, listen, we ain't doing that heel today. We know better.
We need that black heel.
Okay? Because we know better, okay?
So what is your, and you've been doing... So you said you kind of started modeling in 2021, but you've been pretty consistent with it until this point, you would say?
Yes.
Okay. So what's your goal as a Buffalo model and now influencer, even though you didn't start out
My goal is to branch out and to show young women here that if this is a serious route for you, please leave your hometown and bring back what you learned.
Yeah.
Bring back some revenue, honey.
Yeah.
Bring back some things that can inspire, that can help, that can create those programs like the FAST programs we have in Buffalo.
Okay.
We can go into the schools and teach them what we do and how it can create confidence, or how we can instill it within the programs within the school. You know what I mean? A lot of what I do is, because I love being an educator and teaching and being able to speak on a level where it's going to help someone, use that as a life tool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of things I learned, I try to make sure that they were life tools, because they don't show you how to adult. They don't show you how to be okay when you're not okay.
Right.
So for me, that was the biggest thing growing up, grade school, high school, and college, and branching into trying to have my own business in modeling and be able to be booked for commercial, editorial, anything that they need far as advertisement.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what my job is.
Right.
I'm mainly doing it alone. So one of the things is you have to have the get up and go, the consistency,
motivation.
persistence, the discipline.
Yeah.
These are not things that are taught in schools, how to be consistent and disciplined. Because any career you ever want to be in, if you're not consistent,
right.
It ain't gonna happen. Okay.
And you be seeing my posts. I said consistency is the main ingredient.
Yes, it is.
I could tell you all about what am I at, about 3 businesses now. So much of that has been self-taught. And you always, I've worked a bunch of jobs, and I've taken a piece of knowledge from each of those and I turned it into my own. But like you said, they're not like in school. Y'all should have been teaching us how to invest.
Didn't learn
entrepreneurship.
Didn't learn that.
Like that's really what the reality of life is these days.
And I love my school. We love y'all. Yes, we do. But it's certain things that I needed, I did not get.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, I wish I learned that in school.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear when I say consistency. That means in getting up every day and saying, I'm beautiful. I can do this, I can do that. And being consistent in that business, or being consistent in carrying yourself a certain way so you can get that job. That's what I mean.
And that's what I was going to piggyback off that too, as far as like, whether it's in school or workshops and type of things, and teaching that confidence. I think it has gotten so lost in translation from generation to generation what confidence really is, what attractiveness really is.
And it definitely has to migrate from the physical.
Well, and yes,
because
it's inside
ridiculous.
and out. Because you could be beautiful on the outside and be an ugly person on the inside.
And really, the beauty is nothing but the inside. And I'm going to elaborate. If you are a beautiful person in the inside, it's going to automatically show, like the sun in the sky.
Reflect.
Because at the end of the day, if you're feeling good, you're going to look good. If you are carrying yourself well, if you are empathetic and you're a person that's trying your best, even when I've had the worst week. Y'all, my week was terrible, okay? Y'all hear my sinuses? Mind your business, okay?
That's your sexy raspy voice, okay?
All right. Mind your business. No, all jokes aside, but being able to still, stand out because you were working on those inner tools to build your business. Building self, basically. And I think that's the biggest thing I would have loved to have learned in school is building self.
And like I said, and I think you're right on point. Like when you take care of, your inside, I feel like that energy or naturally like reflects on the outside. And another misunderstood thing is just because somebody isn't constantly being negative or complaining doesn't mean that they're not going through anything. Usually the people who aren't complaining the most are usually the ones going through the most. They just don't want the pity or want to complain about it. And that's why it is important to, be mindful and really, be kind to anybody and everybody, because you never know what somebody's going through. And sometimes when you're so used to being, an upbeat, happy person, it's almost like a blessing and a curse because you're so disciplined in that way that you don't know how to be any other way, even when you are going through something.
And I love modeling because it definitely is above just getting prepared for hair and makeup, wardrobe, all the things with the photo shoots, shows, and all avenues of fashion and being a model. Definitely trying to be okay through all of that. It's a system. So I'm going to open up a can of what to do. All right. So the biggest thing is know yourself. I always say that. Like, if you know you're not having a good day, be real about it.
Be okay with not being okay because you're a human. It's
as
okay.
As a model, when you're showing up to events and your attitude stank, baby, we smell you, all right, from over there.
And now you're ruining somebody else's mood.
And now you done walked up, and now you the bridezilla backstage. What you want to call it? You the diva backstage, excuse me. You the diva backstage, okay? And they know about you.
Yeah.
You're like, hurt? Yeah. So being able to be real with yourself in the mirror while you're getting your makeup on, put your bad music on, your bad girl music, get that girl. Today I had to do that because my sinus was bothering me. I said, you know what? I sound like this, y'all sound like and it bothered me. But I say, you know what? I was very excited to get on a podcast today because I really want more models to do this. Like, we are a brand.
Yes.
And we really work to help designers and stuff like that see their products. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I first started, I seen someone started crying, putting on their designer on my body because I was the first human body. Being able
and
to,
it's a proud moment.
Yeah. So for them to see their business prosper and get ready to go on a runway, that is where I was definitely motivated, inspired to do what I do.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would love to just be a part of their vision, their journey.
And that right there, that is the impact. That is the impact where although you're not the one creating or thinking of the product, but to model it for them because they're the talent. And this is the importance of collaboration and not competition because not one, I don't care how good you are you're a Jane of many trades, and so am I. But even with that, there's still a part where you and I can become a puzzle piece to complete whatever the vision or project is. And that's what I really, really want Buffalo to understand. Women to understand. We should not be tearing each other down just because we don't either understand something or it's intimidating to you or it makes you insecure. Those are personal problems that can be dealt with, but don't be a hurt or jealous person hurting somebody else and envying somebody else because those are the things that make you ugly.
Yes.
And I think there's such an importance of, when you're in your niche, which I feel like you are, and you know the difference you are by seeing somebody have that proud moment, you're part of that. Yes. You know what I mean? And that's something to be proud of on their part, but at yours as well, because you had enough confidence and trust in them to be like, hey, if that's what you want to advertise, you just tell me how to model it, and that's what I'll do for you. And that's genuinely what teamwork should be and should look like. Support, whatever the case may be. And I think that's a beautiful thing because just like help and blessings come in so many different ways. You know what I mean? So help isn't, okay, you dropped the bag, let me pick it up for you, or you're an elder person, let me help you cross the street. Help is
being able to help the person work through that vision.
That motivation, that confidence, showing somebody where it's just like, I went to the party on Pearl the other day, and you know me, I work so much that when I have a break, I'm like, woo!
Girl, her hair down, I see her, she was cute, y'all. Right. Okay, she was gorgeous. I say,
thank you. I am so.
You got down the heels too.
I did.
She got down, y'all.
But you know that them knees were paying for it the next day. It's still worth it.
Yeah, she had bacon knees at night though.
Right. But like my point of that is just like, and it's funny because I said I think when people see me out, I'm so like goofy, but so many people really don't know who I am or like what I really do.
The business aspect,
which is it's fun because I said, you know what, it just makes the whispering or assumptions even better.
And then I said before, y'all, layers. This woman has layers to her. Yeah. So when you are in this industry as an entertainer, anything, podcasting, you have to have layers to you. People have got to see all sides of you because that side they may need for a particular business deal.
And okay, so that part, because I'm very far used to be a people pleaser. And what I do catch myself sometimes is like, I was overthinking like, oh my God, like, when I'm with my man, I forget about everybody in the room. I forget about everybody in the room.
Because you're safe.
I said, I'm like dancing, girl, like anybody want. So then I think to myself after like, oh my God, like I start getting in my head. But I'm like you said, why am I overthinking that? Because I said, anybody who knows me in the business aspect and the personal aspect and the fun aspect, there's still a purpose and a reason in each one of those. Yes. And I said, I don't want to get inside my head thinking, oh my God, I wasn't professional enough at the party.
And we're still people.
And I'm at a party. Yes. I put my work in. This is my play hard time.
What you're supposed to do.
You know what I mean? So that's actually something I find myself getting accustomed to and growing into a level of comfort with that, where it's just like, I don't have to be in every point.
I talk about originality a lot, because no matter what avenue you're working in, that originality is going to show through. And it'll pour over in the right ways when it needs to. And I'm starting to see that. And that in itself gives me this like calmness of, hey, that turned out a little different than you thought it was, but that's okay. But better.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
and that fun side, girl, you might be hosting some parties, girl. You have already.
I had a little bit of liquid courage. I was walking. I've seen it before, but my name is Emily. What's your name? You know,
my girl just introduced herself. She's like, your name is whatever it is. My name is Emily. Okay, just remember that. Remember that.
The few times that I go out, I said I have literally seen and made eye contact with these people 3 to 4 times. I said, Buffalo struggles with people walking up to each other. I was like, forget this. Hi, how are you? Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, I said, I done made a couple connections. I got 4 leads in my podcast DM. I said, let's go. Because at the end of the day, you have to find that courage at some point. Believe in your vision. Know who you are. Know what you're good at. And just go for it. Literally just go for it. Whether that's, as a woman, just taking a step into whatever your purpose may be. If it's a modeling career, if it's entrepreneurship. Like, corporations have started at nothing.
Yeah.
Corporate businesses.
From a mix and mingle.
Franchise. Literally, sprouted. Right. So it's just like, but like you said, the most important thing you mentioned was that consistency. If you have that discipline and consistency, you stay true to yourself, even if you're down and out, but being okay to feel like, hey, I'm not okay today, but this too shall pass. And then you wake up, you have that resilience, that perseverance, that motivation, and you get yourself back up. Like, you do it.
And remain inspired. Like, I love traveling and doing new things. I know, girl, trying new things, being new places, because a lot of in my career has been networking.
Yo, it really
has been going places. Like, I went to Albany recently.
Nice.
That's a little bit away from Buffalo, and I met so many different people. The divide was different. As far as business goes, a lot of connections.
And you wouldn't think like Albany, that's like boring, or like just business or courts and stuff. And that's what I'm saying, though. Like, you won't know until you try. Yes. And it's definitely.
And that goes with consistency. If you are consistently doing what you do best in your element, and you're pushing yourself, because sometimes I am afraid to speak to people. I am afraid to do something new. But the biggest thing, if you're consistent and you believe in that vision and what you're doing, you're going to continuously push yourself to say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to say hi and see where it goes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because then when you do that, you're like, okay, well, I got that. Well, what's the next step? Okay, well, I accomplished that. Now what's the next step? And that's how you build up. And I got to say, like, I've seen that within myself and like my business journey, my gosh, in the last 6 months, I could say, so it's definitely, put yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Love yourself the best. Self-motivate the best. Sometimes you're going to be doing everything like on your own, but sometimes if you want something done right, you do have to do it on your own. But it's not to say that you don't understand what teamwork is and working with other people either, or encouraging others, which you do very well, by the way. So I think it's all the understanding, like, all those factors. And with an industry like yours, the beauty is there's so many possibilities. So you'll almost like never be left without something different or creative to do.
It's no excuse to not be creative. Right? There's no excuse not to be creative, because it's so, I see something like a celebrity did, and I'm like, I'm doing they shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but making it your own too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, and I think that's the importance in that, because it's inspiration, creativity, but authenticity at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
So is there anything fun and exciting upcoming we should expect?
Yes,
okay, talk about it.
We have a Vila Marie show in August. The date is on my page, because right now some of the date I have so much going on, y'all.
Right.
Just know her fashion show is in August, so please, anything you need will be on my page.
Beautiful.
Then another podcast I will be on.
Okay.
Trying to think what else is available. Just more shoots and work coming. If there's any shoots y'all want to see me doing, any place y'all want to see me travel, please drop that in the girl comments or DM and say, Ptry, you ain't been here. What you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. You got a new coffee, a new smoothie you want to advertise? Let's go.
Okay. I will be keep drinking, honey. Believe it. You might give us a couple sales off me.
Hey, listen, you'd be surprised where the possibilities can go, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, it was such an honor having you, Mama. I appreciate you. You heard it here on Just Ask M. So make sure to tune in and subscribe.